Spider-Man No Way Home. This was a strange movie. Uh, I'm gonna say straight off, I liked the movie. I did. I liked it a lot. This was a movie I had been excited for, as many people were, for a very long time. I made a video about this about a year ago on this channel before I was really posting regularly on here because I was really excited about it. I was really excited when I heard about all these leaks coming up. I mean, Spider-Man and Batman have always been my two favorite superheroes. When I was young, when I was a kid, Spider-Man was always my number one. As I got older, Batman became a bit more my number one, but Spider-Man was always like a firm number two. And maybe now they're about equal. Batman, Spider-Man. So Spider-Man has always been one of my favorites, and I've been very, very excited. I mean, to see this movie, especially with all the leaks, all the rumors and stuff surrounding it. With maybe, for example, people rumoring that Tobey Maguire was coming back, Andrew Garfield were coming back. I mean, I loved all of these Spider-Man movies. I mean, I used to watch them over and over and over and over and over again when I was a kid. I loved everything about them. And then it was confirmed that all these villains were coming back. The only thing that wasn't really confirmed was like Toby and Andrew and stuff. And minor spoilers from here on, you have been warned. For example, Charlie Cox's Daredevil even appears for a brief cameo, maybe a couple of minutes, and that was also fantastic to see on screen. I want to say what my biggest gripe with this movie is, and it's actually nothing to do with necessarily the movie itself, but I actually felt after I walked out of the cinema as though this was the first movie in a long time that the media actually almost ruined for me. That I actually felt really not underwhelmed, but I didn't feel almost amazed by it because of all the leaks. Like the leaks and the hype leading up to this movie actually ruined the movie in a way for me. Like if I had known nothing about this movie and gone in and watched it, it would have been perhaps my greatest cinema experience ever. I would have been stunned. I'd have been so amazed. And I guess that's my own fault for reading stuff, although it's kind of hard to avoid, especially with the stuff I do online, the videos I make and stuff. I mean, it's hard to avoid this sort of thing. I mean, you click on Twitter and suddenly something's trending, and you're like, oh, what? Why is Andrew Garfield trending? Why is Charlie Cox trending, for example? And it's like, it's hard not to click on these things. If I didn't know what was going to happen, maybe I'd only seen one trailer or something, I would have loved this movie so much. It would be one of my favorite movies ever. But that's not the case, and I didn't go in blind, and so although I did really enjoy the movie and it was basically everything I hoped it would be, I left without feeling that sense of wonderment, that sense of wow about it. Like, for example, when I saw when Infinity War came out, Infinity War is my favorite Marvel movie, easily. I think Infinity War is the best Marvel movie been made. It's way better than Endgame. It's way better than anything else they've ever put out. It is a fantastic movie. But the movie was full of shocks and surprises, as was Endgame to an extent. Although that was a bit more, there were more leaks to do with that and stuff. Like people had leaked that, oh, there's these sets, they've recreated old sets, they're going to some sort of time travel. Like that stuff was leaked. But Infinity War, so many leaks. I was so amazed by the end of that movie, how it went out on that note of Thanos snapping everyone out. That was a shocking moment. And I mean, maybe people who had read the comics, or people who had read about the comics knew what was going to happen, but I wasn't sure that's how they would actually end it. I thought, okay, they're not going to end the movie that way, surely. But they did, and that whole movie was amazing. I loved that movie so much. And the hype that led up to it, they didn't spoil too much, and there wasn't so many leaks that, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it had that huge emotional impact, and it had everything it had to have, and it lived up to it in the cinema. For me, Spider-Man No Way Home, although being great, and being easily the best Spider-Man movie of the three Tom Holland movies, not without its issues, it was fantastic in the hype build-up, just as like Endgame, just as Infinity War. But when it actually got to being on screen, there was nothing surprising at all about it. I wasn't surprised by anything I saw. Maybe spoilers, major spoilers here, folks, so if you've not turned off already, maybe Aunt May dying should surprise me a little bit. Maybe I didn't see that part coming, but I didn't really feel it had a huge emotional impact for me. Like, I didn't really care that much about the character. Maybe I'm just a bit heartless. I don't know. I thought, I don't know. I mean, it was good a bit later on. I thought the emotional impact at the end of the movie was really good, with like Tom Holland forgetting everyone. Peter Parker forgets everyone he knows. I thought that was really emotionally impactful. I thought that was really good. I thought even the memorials and stuff for me were really good. But I thought the actual scene where she died, I was a little bit shocked, although I could see it coming. Like, the way it was set up, you could see it coming, but going into the movie, I wouldn't have expected it, is what I'm trying to say. But other than that, I genuinely wasn't surprised, and this is a movie that should have been surprising. It's a movie that should have been shocking to all viewers. It's a movie that people should have been surprised and jaw-dropping to the floor watching. And I didn't get any of that. As much as I did like the movie, I loved the movie, and I'll watch it again and again probably, and I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 or something, but I wasn't shocking in the way I'd hoped. There were no twists or turns. All the twists seemed to be, oh, this person appears, this person makes a cameo, this person's in the movie, and those things were all leaked ahead of time. And so when they actually happened on screen, it was almost like they had to happen, because if Andrew and Toby didn't turn up, if Charlie Cox didn't turn up, I would have walked out of there disappointed. So it was almost like we had set this hype meter, we had set this standard, where it's like we knew, we wanted, us as fans, we had decided this has to happen, anything less than this and we'll be disappointed. And so the problem becomes, okay, they meet our standards, but now in order to actually get us really, really, really excited, say 10 out of 10, a best movie ever, they need to then step it up above that. But that is their max. How can you outdo Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back? How can you outdo that multiverse? How can you? It's almost an impossible task. And it's the hype of this movie I felt almost negatively impacted it. And I know it sounds like, oh, I'm not hating the movie at all. I keep saying I love the movie. Fantastic movie. But that was my big issue with it, and it wasn't actually about the movie itself. My issue was about the coverage of the movie by the media, by fans, by people leaking things, all that, and it's the first time in a while that I've felt this. I mean, I felt it a little bit with the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. I mean, those seasons weren't very good in the first place, but I felt it a little bit then with lots of people leaking, and I did my best to avoid as much as I could, but it was still hard to avoid everything entirely. I mean, I avoided most of the spoilers for that and the leaks, but it was still hard to avoid everything, like every single bit. Like, it was hard to avoid people even saying, oh, I've seen the leaks and the finale's terrible. And it's like, okay, you've seen, now I've got an expectation going in, whereas really the best way to go into any form of cinema, any form of TV, is to go in blind, because that's when you're going to truly be captivated. You don't have the expectations, and you can enjoy it for what it is. When you have preconceived notions of something, that changes your outlook immediately, whether it's for the good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, you're going to have preconceived notions. You go into the movie, and if either it meets it or it doesn't. And sometimes if you've got a bad perception about something, sometimes it'll blow you away, and you actually think it's better than it was because you expected something bad. Or sometimes you go in and you think it's going to be the best thing ever, and it turns out it was just pretty good. And suddenly you think it's terrible because it never hit your high of being the best thing ever. And so it's really hard, and you have to be very careful when you look at things like this. And so that was my biggest gripe. If I had any other gripe specifically with the movie itself, it's that I would have probably said I thought that same issue as the other Spider-Man movies I've had when they bring in so many villains is it almost feels like there's a lot going on in this 2.5 hour movie, like too much almost. And other than maybe like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, maybe a little bit of Doc Ock, most of the villains feel very much underdeveloped, as if they've not really got much to do or say. It's just like they're there as the novelty, it feels like. And yeah, so it feels very much fan service, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And you could argue, okay, well, these villains have been built up in the previous movies. I would agree with that. It just felt like a lot crammed in at once, and it was an action-packed ride. There was no boring moment of this movie. It was amazing. It was great from start to finish. A great watch, very entertaining. It could have maybe benefited from another 20 minutes, 30 minutes, being a little bit longer. Just to spread things out a little bit more, give some of the characters a little bit more time, especially like the Lizard. Like, he was all over the place. I wasn't really sure what was going on with that. Jamie Foxx's Electro was really strange. Like, it was never really explained why he suddenly was not as like nerdy, and he was a bit different. Like, it was just kind of mentioned, but like a lot of things just, you were to suspend your disbelief and expect that was the thing. Anyway, that's all I really want to say about the movie. That's just my reaction. That's my initial thoughts. I saw the movie a couple of days ago, so I've been thinking about it for a couple of days now. But yeah, it's a good movie. If you haven't seen it and for some reason you've watched through all these spoilers, I would recommend it. I thought it was good. And I'll certainly be seeing it again sometime soon. So if you like the video, please remember to leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos from me in the future, hit that subscribe button.